Okay, call the meeting to order. For the public, we have started our meeting at 5 o'clock with an executive session. We took a brief recess, now we're back in session. We're gonna go to item 2, citizens' time. Hearing and seeing none, we're gonna move to item 3, phase 2 sewer project, 84 Kendall Road project.
Ladies, gentlemen, good evening. For the record, Douglas DeShane. I'm an attorney with Finner and Nicholson. I represent Senior Living LLC. They have proposed a combination assisted and independent living senior development off of 84 Kendall Road. We have been through quite a process with the town to date. The property was originally under 61A, so the town had a right of first refusal to buy the property once the owners entered into a purchase and sales agreement with my clients, so the town had a right of first refusal. And as it turned out, we worked with the town and ultimately went to town meeting, whereby the town actually passed on its right of first refusal, subject to a development agreement that my clients had to sign. And what the development agreement basically says is that the town waived its right of first refusal in light of the fact that we've proposed to do a very specific project. So the development agreement says that we will develop up to a total of 250 units, consisting of up to 100 assisted living and up to 150 independent living units. We've actually provided as part of that process, we provided the town sort of a schematic of what the project would be. As you can see, we're currently proposing 4 buildings, 4 large buildings, and then the units will be distributed between the 4 buildings. We are meeting the town's requirement for 10% affordable, so 10% of the independent living units will actually be affordable. And again, all of these units will be restricted to seniors only. So you guys might remember, the town passed a bylaw about 4 or 5 years ago trying to allow for independent and assisted living facilities, but for whatever reasons, no one's brought one forward until this one. So we're hopeful this can provide Tyngsborough, its first such senior living campus. You can start out in an independent unit, and as you age, you can age in place and move into assisted living. The joke among zoning attorneys is that the cemetery is the third part of the project, but we're not proposing a cemetery here. People can live in place here. If they're going to die, they will go somewhere else. In any event, we're here to talk to you guys about sewer. As I understand, there's no sewer out here. We're going to have to connect somewhere, we wanted to just talk to you about the different options, what you think of them, whether you think they're worth pursuing or not. We wanted to talk about things that we might be able to offer to make the deal work better. And then of course we want to talk to you about how your ERUs are calculated, depending on whether we're building the infrastructure or not, whether these are considered a single commercial building or whether they're considered a building of X independent units. So it's all the kind of information we're hoping to talk about tonight and get response from. Although I don't know much about the engineering stuff, we have our engineer Taylor Dowdy from BSC here with me, and I guess I'd ask Taylor to give you a quick, just a viewpoint of what we're doing, and we've got some ideas about how the system might be worked. So if we could have a few minutes to give you our thoughts and ideas.
Can I just
sure.
Just ask Kathy one question? Did you reach out to them about the question we had about going to phase 1 as opposed to phase 2?
I told them exactly what you told me to tell them, that that would be an option, but we would have to check on capacity.
Which we believe is not an option at this point.
Correct.
So I don't know if you guys.
So I have not responded that. I wanted them to come forward you because.
Oh, okay. Well, you can explain what that all means to me.
So
because I do know, I'm client who couldn't be here tonight, he did say to me something about, one of the things we wanted to talk about was, while less capacity may be available on Kendall, you know, let me step back. You know, they wanted us to clarify, or talk about the fact that we're open to, I guess, a discussion on potentially connecting through the Brock's property if that project moves forward. But obviously, we'd need to understand what, if any, capacity is available on Kendall Road. And while there might be less capacity on Kendall Road, we may be able to offer some benefits by being able to connect in a lot of, if not most of the residential units in that whole area. And then he wrote, we could scale down the size of phase one if we could tie into Kendall Road and proceed to construction faster rather than waiting for Brock. So when you said phase one, must mean
So
interrelated there, do you?
I don't,
phase one is, goes up to Flint Road, I believe. And that goes through Chelmsford. So we don't,
okay.
so that's where we have limited capacity.
Okay.
Because it was a betterment project and we have to reserve capacity for people who paid a betterment that aren't tied in yet.
Okay.
Phase two would go through Brock's and eventually end up going through Drake as opposed to Chelmsford.
And
That
where
would-
did you say phase one goes through?
Goes through Chelmsford.
Goes to Chelmsford, via
Flint Pond
Flint
Road.
Pond Road, okay.
Flint Road, I think it is, right?
Kendall to Flint.
Flint Road, yeah.
Well, it goes down to Middlesex and then
Yeah, then that
down to
one.
Yeah,
Chelmsford.
but that's where it stops, I believe, is
Chelsea stops, yeah.
at Flint.
Yeah, they have the sewer on the next page.
So that was my thought, was maybe we could get you to go down that way, we could tie in some other houses, but it doesn't look like we're gonna be able to.
Okay.
That's the only option you have is Brock's.
Right.
We don't have, there's no.
You just don't have the capacity down Kendall.
Right.
No, there's
We were hoping we were able to maybe do some math and try to get that to work, but we got an answer back that doesn't work.
Like zero capacity or?
Yeah, negative.
Yes.
Got you loud and clear on that one.
That's why, no sense.
Do you wanna think about that, recalculate?
No sense in
There's no room
wasting
for
time.
wiggle room there.
No sense in wasting time with
All right,
the
all
work
right.
on the other way. The Brock's property.
Well, that probably answers 50% of all our questions, so
Yeah,
we're
well,
gonna
that's
be
what I
quicker than I
think.
thought.
That's why I wanted to get it on the table right away.
Oh, good, well, thanks, Ryan, saving my time listening to me talk engineering, I don't blame you.
Yeah,
So, Taylor, based on that, then.
yeah, I mean, I think, you know, ultimately then if we're looking at coming up with an agreement with the Brock's property folks, I think we're just talking about ERUs at this point. Is that fair to say? And, you know, whether that,
So, just so I understand this, so given the fact that you don't have capacity on Kendall Road, that means then the only way we can connect would be through Brock's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, you know, physically and from a project perspective, we've thought that through, we've worked at it, just tough when you put yourself subject to the control of, you know, a third party.
yeah.
Well, there may be some synergies there where they're, I think, looking to kind of wait to do their project. Maybe this kills two birds with one stone where you help
Get the
them
sewer lines
get
in.
the sewer line in, and their property becomes maybe a little more attractive to investors with sewer already there. It already has sewer technically, has ability for sewer, but doesn't have sewer in place, so.
Yep, no, that makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
I think, you know, who knows?
All right, well then, let's assume, as you mentioned, we're coming through Brock's. And I guess physically, we've already kind of looked at that, it's very viable
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
you know, and then, obviously we work a deal with them as far as,
Well, honestly, I think Brock's would be the cheapest way to go because of the ledge that's on Kendall Road.
really even
That's-
physically.
Is that why it's not sewer now, the
That-
ledge that's out there?
Well, what happened was we originally were planning on coming up Bryant Lane, and people were complaining because it was all ledge. So not only would we have to pay to install the sewer, they'd have to pay for it to get it to their property.
Yeah,
So it just wasn't worth the battle.
and that makes sense.
that's good, one way or another, we've got direction on that, or we know what our options are. So why don't we talk a little, if you guys have a little more time, about this whole, how ERUs are calculated, and, you know, I know less about this than I do about, you know,
Well, I think that's pretty much a math game.
Right.
Am I correct on that? It's
It
normally
is-
based on your gallons per day, I believe, correct?
Yeah, it's based on the flow, and you know, for a standard home, it's 1 ERU. I think there was possibly some discussion on the type of use here and how those landed, and I didn't realize we were gonna go to the ERU discussion on it. I don't remember where we landed.
Is it okay if I fill in
Yeah.
the blanks? So at a meeting, a couple of months ago, because I've been in contact with Frank and kind of bringing things to the commission as they come along. So, we had told him that there was gonna be a, privilege fee, which is equal to what everybody on that project paid for their betterment, which is over $16,000 per ERU. And, so I had provided that information to Frank. And his question back was, independent units, he understood you would charge per unit, but he wanted to see if the commission would be open to, or how you interpret assisted living, is that considered, he felt it should be considered commercial. So Brian had me reach out to some neighboring communities to see how they do it. Chelmsford was the one that responded, and they basically said, if it's assisted living and it's part of a rehab or a nursing home, they consider it commercial. But if it's long-term and it's not, independent, they would certainly do under residential. So I think that's where we're at right now, is determining if the board determines whether their assisted should be charged as commercial or as residential. Residential is per unit for each unit in the building, whereas commercial, Jack would have another flow, would probably be close to Title V for nursing homes or something along those lines. Or rehab.
Yeah, and my understanding is for, and correct me if I'm wrong, Taylor, I might
Yep.
get them backwards, but assisted living, they estimate it's 150 gallons, and then, independent is 100, or do I have it backwards?
No, you got it, independent would be 110.
It's in your chart right at the septic loading
Yeah.
table.
So irregardless of what the outflow is of a residential structure, it's 1 ERU, whether I have 1 bedroom or 4?
Correct.
Okay, and I guess we're all on the same page that typically independent units are charged as a single unit, right? Am I stating the obvious?
Yep.
Just trying to find out where I have an in to talk.
Yeah.
But again, you've done some investigation on the assisted living, and at least Chelmsford, kind of depending on the character of the assisted living, looks at it one way or the other, right? Is that what I?
That's what they said, yes, that if it's, the girl I spoke to wasn't sure if they had any parcels that had mixed with
Right.
independent, but she said they more look at assisted as if it's part of a nursing home or a rehab, it's commercial.
And that would include the assisted living component under that definition. Is that fair?
That's what they do,
That's-
yes,
yeah,
if their
okay.
assisted living is in a nursing home or a rehab,
Yeah.
that's,
So in
They
a,
can-
in a rehab.
so I don't know if they mean like on the same campus, you know, like Duville has
Right.
some independent, they have some
Assisted,
assisted,
they
so
have,
I don't know if
yeah.
it's more like that type of a situation.
Okay. Cause that is essentially what we're proposing here, is a campus.
And what would be the rate for, if that was considered, if that portion of this project was considered commercial, what is that rate? So I don't mean to drop.
It would be, well, you would calculate using Title V to come up with your flow, but
Yeah.
you would divide it by the 330, right?
Right, so each ERU is 330 gallons a day, so whatever your total flow is, you divide it, that brings you to your ERUs.
So the assisted living was 15.3.
All right, that's what I was looking for.
Hold on, ERU allows for 330.
Mhm.
So if I build a 4-bedroom home, I actually get like 1.1 ERUs, or
No,
Whether-
residential home.
Yeah.
residential
It's a-
home is
it's
flat.
Flat.
It's commercial where it's calculated,
On
yeah,
the floor.
thanks, you're right, it is a math game.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
commercial, ERU, 1 ERU, and the EU ERU is the same price whether it's being applied to the commercial or being applied to the residential, it's just based on the gallons at that point, or, you know.
Yeah,
okay.
to calculate it.
So what do you come up with 15,330, or 15,3? How many
Is
ERUs?
that 46?
So it's $15.30 per commercial ERU, which is essentially 3 units
Yeah.
at 110 gallons.
Yep.
Oh, no, it's a little more, because, interesting, assisted living has a higher flow rate than independent.
And the assisted living is 150 per bed. Are they,
I thought Title V says per unit,
It
and
says
I'll confirm that,
per
but maybe
bed.
I'm wrong. You're on it right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'm suspecting too, though, that, is that true for the independent living? It's 110 gallons per bed?
I don't know if independent living is listed.
Because it's independent living where you're likely to find more than one bedroom. Generally, the assisted
I think
living is
yeah.
a single bedroom,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, so the independent living, I think, is just, it's a single residence, so the beds don't matter, right? So it's only the, assisted living.
And that is per bed, we just verified that. Okay.
Yeah, I think what I was thinking of, these units were 1 bedroom each, that's why, yeah.
All right, what was my next question?
So in the independent living, there would just be ERUs? Or do you have to do the math on those?
Yeah, each unit would be an ERU.
So 132 ERUs there, right? That's what they said, 132.
Was it 132?
You show
somehow?
132 units of independent.
Correct, independent
Yep,
units,
okay. Somehow I wrote
132.
that down
So
wrong.
the assisted would be another 46, you got 178 ERUs.
Yeah, if that's considered commercial, it'd be, yeah, it'd be another 46. I guess if you're rounding up, it'd be 47.
You can go to 47, we were trying to.
I've never seen anyone round down, but I'll take.
I write 46
Throwing
plus.
you along there.
I like
That's
46
right.
plus.
Thank you.
So that's 178, and is the ERU cost,
$16,661.51 to be exact.
well, I couldn't even write it down that fast, 16,000 plus. And then where did we come up with 15,330 per ERU on the commercial? That's not, that was just something,
Well, that's the gallons per day.
oh, that's if
Yeah,
you base
gallons
it
per
on
day
gallons.
divided by 330.
Divided
is
by
the
the,
ERU equivalent.
oh, that's ERU equivalent, all right, that's where that was the difference. Okay, well, at least we know that, and I guess I'm leaving here with the understanding that assisted living units are pretty straightforward, they're considered I'm sorry,
I did tell that to them.
Independent.
the independent are straightforward residential
Residential.
units, and even though we're only gonna have 1 or 2 bedrooms, we're paying, you know, the equivalent of a 4-bedroom home. Doesn't seem quite cool, but,
We heard this before from another attorney as well. So you
Yeah.
guys must be thinking a different way than us.
okay. Yeah, we're always thinking a way to save our clients money. But no, I mean. you
Billable
can-
hours, saving them money.
Yeah, but I mean, but you can understand my point, right? I mean, I could, if I was building a single-family home here, I'd pay my $16,000 and be able to pump 440 gallons a day. And, you know, if I have a single-bedroom independent living unit, which is gonna produce 110 gallons a day, I'm still paying that same full fee.
And if there was a 1-bedroom condo in
Well,
town,
they both have the same size
it would be
pipe.
the same.
Oh, 1-bedroom condo's the same as a single?
Correct.
So,
Yeah, and
So
residence.
You need to
it's
build more
not just for
bedrooms.
you, it's,
Yeah,
right.
you're gonna pay for it, you might as well build more bedrooms, all right.
Right.
Guys, I appreciate it, you know, I'm just trying to understand it and see if there's some room here. And then going over to independent living, we do it on a per gallon basis, so essentially, if they're single units, we're getting to pay 1 ERU for 3 units, cause they're only 110 a gallon, right, for the commercial.
For assisted living?
Do I have it backwards?
I think so.
which are the ones that you could consider to be commercial, independent or assisted?
Assisted.
All right, great, you're right, that's why I wrote it
And
down
that
wrong.
would
It is
matter
confusing.
because they'd go to square footage, is that how that works?
It wouldn't go to, it's just based on the Title V flow,
Okay.
once you're,
Right,
once
so if
you're
we had one
commercial.
bedroom units, it'd be 110 gallons, we're allowed to get 330 gallons per
150.
ERU,
It's
that's how you came up with only
150 gallons.
46.
150
It's
gallons.
150 per
Per
bed
bed.
on the
150,
assisted.
okay, and that's where you came up with the 46, was by doing that math, right?
Yeah,
That's what I got, the total.
Okay, no wonder why they sent me in here to try and work on it. We're talking $3 million.
A shade under that, but yeah.
Yeah.
2,980,000.
One floor, that's
All right,
One.
you and I are within 20,000.
Yeah.
Closer.
I'll take 46.
and the other nugget is the II mitigation, so any large project that's over 15,000 gallons a day, there's $4 per gallon that's over 15,000. So $4,
I think Matt knew about that.
That is
Right.
not us.
Right.
That's the
Yeah.
illustrious Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, and that's $4 per gallon of total flow over
Over
15,000.
And there's just so, as we're talking fees, there's an application fee per unit of $250 per unit, and commercials $500. It'd probably be based on however you do it, but
Right.
I just wanna give you all the information now, so.
No,
you're not
we
getting
want it
me-
all.
This is all contained within your website. I was browsing it before we
Okay.
came in. I'm asking, I'm not, I would assume, right?
I
It's
don't,
under-
I'm not sure if those fees are on there,
Okay,
I'd have to look, but I can
okay.
certainly
I may give you a call tomorrow if that's okay.
Absolutely, we're
Alright.
closed Fridays, but you can call me Monday,
That's
and
right,
I'm
Tasty.
happy to
Okay.
give you whatever you need.
Okay.
And
Thank
what
you.
did you say the commercial application fee was?
So the commercial application fee is $500, but I would just say that I don't know how this is going to be charged, because is it gonna be per building, or how, usually, commercial would be like per building, but if there's a warehouse with several units, it's per unit, so I think we'd have to have a discussion on how you wanna handle that.
Well, I think that one, you know, I think
Least of your
even a
worries.
worst case scenario, I mean, if you charged us, 4 times that, I mean, it's insubstantial when you compare it to 250 per unit,
So-
for a building like that, is there, I mean, I
Well,
know it's small.
unfortunately, not the ERUs, it's the betterment project.
Right,
So I
betterment
think the
stuff.
law states that we have to
Yep,
charge
you have to charge,
equal
yep, no,
to the betterment.
Yeah,
So, there's really no wiggle room with that.
right, yep,
So-
I understand, alright, great. Any other questions? Can we find any cracks anywhere that I can weasel into and try and save money here, but, I mean,
The other thing is, though, we do offer a covenant that could do, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yep,
you can do a covenant.
you could do a covenant over 20 years, if the commission approves that, and that's just for the connection fee portion, the privilege fee. And we bill those twice a year at a 5% interest rate, so if
well,
that
that's
would.
a pretty reasonable deal.
See, up until now, you thought we were just a bunch of snake oil salesmen. You were wrong, Doug.
You're not snake oil, I'm just trying to get it cheaper, that's all. I like the product you guys sell, we need it. And I know, listen, I was on the water commission in Westford a long time, I really understand how the state gets you on some of this stuff, and you guys, our hands are tied on some of it, I appreciate it, I know.
Equal
And,
across the board.
Yeah, but I, in light of what appears to be a pretty, big figure, certainly that covenant is a nice opportunity for developers, cause I mean, that's what kills you, right? You gotta come up with $3 million up front, I mean, that's a big front end,
Yeah.
that's just for sewer. Whereas if you're coming up with $1 million and spreading the other $2 million out, it makes your pro forma work, it makes the project doable, that's great. Appreciate that anyways. Any other questions? I mean, I think we're pretty clear here. There,
I think we got it.
they've, I guess the only thing we can, hope to work with you on would be the commercial, for the assisted, which I think is a reasonable ask, and you guys seem to imply that's the way you do it. So, seems pretty straightforward. Do you have any other questions? I mean,
I don't,
He would,
I'm probably the least knowledgeable about the technical part of it, and I'm negotiating the money part of it, that's the way it works. No,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
guess,
yeah.
no, guys, thank you. really appreciate it. We'll go back, we'll talk with our clients. Obviously, we need to, beef up our discussions with Brock's and see, as you said, how can we make this attractive enough to them that we can move forward now while they're waiting.
Right.
Cool. You guys have any questions of us? I mean, you know, no?
We'd love to see the project come to Tyngsborough.
Yeah, it would be nice.
It's a good spot for it.
I said it jokingly, I think, to you, but, you know, I can see myself there, next to Flint Pond right there and spend the rest of my time.
How many boat slopes you gonna have?
Negotiate the Deshane wing.
I wanna start a good room, but somebody.
Oh, yeah, I could sponsor a wing, right. I put my mother in there now and I'll come
Listen,
right
I
behind
need
her.
a spot for my father-in-law now.
There you go.
We're already going down that road.
Well, fortunately, my mom's been healthy enough, but, you know, 89, day's coming, right? And I love nothing better than to be able to provide her an opportunity to think about, because that's where she wants to die, you know? So, guys, thank you, ladies, thank you so
Thank you
much for
very
your
much.
time, it's always a
Okay.
pleasure.
Good to see you.
Have a happy new year.
Have a good night.
We'll be back once we get this thing moving.
All right, gentlemen, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, old business, phase one discussion, 130 Middlesex Road Plaza.
Yes.
We didn't scare you guys away, did we?
No. We're still here. Yeah. 3 million, that's a lot. I know. Even over 20 years, it's still a lot. Can't get 5% interest in that.
Sorry, this always takes the most.
That's okay.
Thanks again.
All right, thank you.
Have a good night.
Evening, everyone.
Evening.
I'm gonna wait for Brian. Sorry about that. Good evening, everybody. Great to see you again. Happy New Year. So we're here on behalf of Mike Farris, and, you know, we were here before, with the, EIU calculations that we did for the residential units on the second floor back in July of last year. We got approval for that and figured out a number, how much that was going to cost. And in the meantime, Mike, applied for a building permit to, renovate his existing restaurant that's inside the plaza, the existing restaurant that's there. So in that, came back with, well, we gotta put a grease trap in for the restaurant, which he agreed to. And then came this new calculation for sewer usage, which was a little surprising, because we're taking an existing restaurant and putting another restaurant in the same place and changing the sign. So we had a meeting with Jack yesterday to talk about this and how things were originally calculated, were based on square foot area, and now is converting over to, you know, more of the Title V area. So when you look at what's really happening in the common sense approach of this, is that no extra charge or no decrease in ERUs for the second floor should be used, because we're just converting an existing restaurant and changing the sign on the front, where all the ERUs were originally calculated, approved, paid, so on and so forth. So we had that meeting, and I think that was a good meeting that we had yesterday in regards to this, and I think that, you know, the common sense approach is that we shouldn't have to pay any more ERUs just for a building permit to renovate the existing restaurant and do the same thing that's been there for a good number of years. So that's why we're here today, and I think that Jack is pretty much in agreement with that, but you guys need to hear it from him and from us, how this came to be. But Mike has already agreed, yeah, I'll put the grease trap in as well as the ones underneath the sink. But when you look at, what was assessed earlier on with the EIUs and what was paid already, some $98,000 or $92,000, plus a new $46,000 for the upstairs, that's still a lot of money. And to take away, some of that in regards to the units up on the top floor, just to convert a restaurant from what it is now, existing, to the new restaurant, nothing's really changed. So we're here tonight to hear from you and hopefully get a common sense approach to this, that converting a restaurant and agreeing to putting a grease trap should be the limit of his exposure to this.
All right, Kathy, wanna give us the Reader's Digest version of what happened?
Sure.
Cause I thought you were putting in a second restaurant.
No, this
So-
is just
That's
convert.
your seating capacity is not increasing?
Nope.
Who's leaving and who's coming?
He's going, oh, sorry, go ahead. You can
It
go.
went from the catering business, Bianco's Catering, was there for a long time, to a bakery, to Asian food. So those three. We have the same amount of sinks as before, the same amount of bathrooms as before. There's really no interior change other than an upgrade.
But which one are you talking about, the Tex-Mex or the?
No. No, this was, Bianco's, so Bianco's Catering was
Yep.
there for years. It's that unit. That unit, when he moved, a bakery went in, or, they did bake cakes and so forth. And so it's the same unit, and now an Asian restaurant is going in.
So what was
Thai food.
there at the time of sewer?
Bianco's.
Yeah. Okay.
It was catering.
Bianca's wasn't necessarily a restaurant though, right? It was a catering.
Well, no, he had tables and
He
he
had
had
tables.
Yeah,
huge
tables.
amount of catering. It was a high volume. I mean, my point, I was talking to, Jack and Kathy about this, it's like, there's actually no change in the interior. There's, like I said, there was always 2 bathrooms, there was always whatever many sinks were in there. We did add, there's a grease trap underneath the sink, and we're adding an exterior grease trap, which really isn't, I understand that's not a big flow issue, but there's really no change. There's just, this really, for me, came out of nowhere, like I didn't expect this at all.
So, can you just give us the,
Sure,
the
so
history, so
at
we
our
know what-
last regularly scheduled sewer meeting, which was November 14th, it was right around that time, we started getting some, business occupancy permits coming through the system. One was to change the Tex-Mex store into a hair salon, and one was to change a bakery into a 22-seat restaurant. So, we usually have to comment on those, so I brought it to you all that night. And, cause I wasn't sure if there was gonna be an additional flow or not, so you had directed Jack to look into if that would increase flow, and if so, for me to reach out to the owner and tell him you had approved 4 ERUs for the upstairs units, how does he wanna use his flow? So Jack did look into that and felt that the hair salon could go in because it fell under the flow that was already bettered and paid for, but he felt that with the restaurant, it would require 1 ERU. Over and above what had been there as a bakery, but we had a talk with them yesterday, and they feel that it's the bakery and the new restaurant are similar, so I just told them that's something to discuss with you all, I can't make that decision.
You said you wanna put how many?
22 seats, that's
says
what it
20,
said on the
yeah.
visit, yeah, so it was going from Candy Cake Bakery, which I don't know what was in there before, as far as if there were seats for the bakery or not, I'm not sure.
Yeah, he had seats.
Okay, do you know
But
how?
it was,
do you know
like
any-
at the time of sewer betterment it was Bianco's. And
Okay.
he was much more impact than
Yeah, but he
probably
didn't
what's
have
gonna
22.
go there now.
what do you have for
Bianco's
seating?
didn't have 22 seats.
No, I know.
That's what, so basically, the seat had
But-
increased.
Well, I actually don't know how many seats he had in terms of the tables, because he had a little private room. When you walked in and to the right, there was a wall, and I actually never even went in there and looked at how many seats he has. But one of my points was yesterday when I was talking to Jack was, nobody knows how many seats were in there. So when you did the calculation back then, it could have been 50 seats. No one asked us that question. And now that we're, all of a sudden, we go in, or the applicant for the building permit puts on a 22-seat restaurant, it looks, you're almost making it sound like we're going from 0 seats to 22. Like this is a new use, but it's really not. It's not at all.
How do we do the
So-
calculation?
Yeah, I
So
just
at
wanna,
the time of betterment, what was the calculation?
It
for
was
the
based
whole-
on the square foot area of the
So-
building.
yeah, so the normal method is we do the 100 gallons per day per 1,000 square feet of building, right? If you have a single property by itself and it's a restaurant, we do that calculation, but we also look at the Title V flow, and then we use the higher of those two. When we looked at this parcel, you know, it's kind of a larger building, there's a lot of different uses there, and we did the math, and using the 100 gallons per day per 1,000 square foot. So that's how the overall property was bettered, using that. And when we looked at the residential, you know, you have the precedent where we say, if somebody redevelops, what was that existing number? You know, if they change the area, we subtract off what it was bettered at, and then they get a privilege fee for what's been added. So that was done on the residential side, and I think you were on board with it. When I did it and then there's the other smaller use, which actually was fitting, I think it's the Thai restaurant, was fitting within the rounding up of the betterment, so that didn't result in additional flow. So when I looked at this one, it was, you know, I was envisioning a bakery where you just, you know, walk in, buy baked goods, leave, you know, not a huge water demand. And then after our discussion, it was, there were actually multiple tables in there, you know, people could eat and whatever, and they're cooking, and it was you know, the catering before, so there was a lot more water use at one point. So I think that's a lot more of a comparable use, you know, of what was there before to now. I think it's, you know, is it a 1-for-1? I can't really answer that accurately, but I know when I first calculated it, you know, I was picturing more of a static business selling product, whereas now I'm understanding that there was some more of an actual restaurant style use. So what you know, using that precedent, we would, you know, subtract off, you know, how it was bettered, but then they would pay the privilege fee on what was added. But that would be only if there's a change in use, right? So this was bettered in aggregate. So if it was functionally a restaurant and it's remaining that, then I think it could fall within that you know, realm of no change. But that's kind of your decision.
So, what's going on with the upstairs? So we're gonna need
That-
additional EIUs upstairs?
The 4 ERUs to cover the 7 residential units upstairs, I think we're all on board with that.
Yes.
And then
It's already been allocated.
saying that if this one's no change, there would be no privilege fee. And then I think the Thai restaurant was fitting within the rounding of the betterment, right?
I don't know
Kathy?
when you say the Thai
Wasn't it
restaurant.
the Thai restaurant?
That's the one we're
The-
talking about, the 22-seat restaurant.
Oh,
It's the Thai
sorry, I'm
restaurant.
sorry, the hair
It was the hair
salon,
salon, yeah. The hair salon
I knew
fit
that
in under,
didn't
yeah.
make
That was my
sense.
next question. What's going on with the hair salon?
The hair salon is replacing
Tex-Mex.
the Tex-Mex, and it's basically whatever flow that added was within the rounding up error of the betterment.
It fit
So
within.
that was,
Yeah.
so there were no privilege fees needed for that by itself. So it was really just, in addition to the residential, how is this unit categorized? And
So if we assume we're even because of Bianco's use in the initial calculation, hypothetically, if the barber shop changes to another small restaurant, would that be a privilege fee? Because that was never bettered, right, as a restaurant, it was bettered as by square
That's
foot.
Jack's question, but it would be a change of use, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I would say, yeah, if it's a change
So
in
they
use,
came back
and
to
that's the thing, yeah, that one's a gray area, cause the barber shop, you know, I think it
depends,
goes
yeah,
into a
that's-
Title V.
But I'm saying,
Calc.
a law office, let's say.
Yeah, if the law office becomes a restaurant, absolutely a privilege fee. Yep, and that was kind of how I saw this one. I didn't even think twice about it, cause I was just picturing, you know, kind of like a bakery, just, you know, you walk in, you
Sure,
buy
for a
something, you
restaurant, yeah,
leave, not
sure.
picturing tables, people
Okay.
sitting, eating, drinking, that kind of thing.
So your recommendation is go from restaurant to restaurant, same use?
Yeah, as we discussed,
Yes.
you know, the understanding that there were tables, people were eating there was a lot of cooking and stuff like that, that's
Yeah,
a comparable
It was a very,
use.
very good, detailed conversation yesterday that we had with Jack and Kathy, and I restaurant, going to a restaurant, changing the outside name.
I mean, I think that's your decision. I don't wanna speak, like, you know, I made it very clear that I can't make that decision, so that's really your call.
Right, that's why we're
Listening
here
to them,
this evening.
whatever you think.
I got no problem with it. I would just say we put a limit of 22 seats in there, period.
Yeah, anything over that, they have to come.
Yeah, if it
Come
goes
back.
above the 22, then we have to.
It's fine.
We're agreeable to that. Thank you very much.
Hang on one
Yep.
second. So,
I'm fine, I mean, I used to go to Bianco's, it was more of a lunch, takeout, some seating, but it certainly wasn't 22, so I'm not gonna split hairs, I'll give you the fact that at least it was the use, this is similar seating, we could argue about, but I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of seating in Bianco's myself.
That's okay. Yeah.
all right, so what's the 80?
Is there a unit number or?
Yeah, that's what I'm
It's
looking
unit
for.
number 5.
5.
130 Middlesex Road Plaza, Unit 5. To,
I'll make a motion to keep it.
keep it at the
keep
same,
it-
that it's the same use.
Same uses, yep.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second, further discussion? Hearing seen, none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yes. Thank you.
Can't thank you enough.
Thank you very much, everyone. Kathy, you as
Kathy,
well. That was
Kathy, thank you very much.
unbelievably knowledgeable. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Boom, boom, boom.
Why do you think we looked at it?
I know.
Trust me.
I would do the same thing.
I get it. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
All right, thank you.
See you
Good
later.
night.
Thanks, Jack, see you later.
All right, 50 Westwood Road, anybody?
Basically, they're putting in infrastructure, they're on their manhole number 6 already, so they're putting in all the sewer lines.
Okay. 95, 97 Westwood?
Yep.
Discussion on sewer garage?
Nothing to report.
I&I,
No update.
Nope.
Toll Brothers Enclave Project?
We're like just about to be done with that.
Close
We're like
to
right at the finish
final
line.
completion.
But they gotta get a couple elevations, I think, and then we'll be there.
Yeah, they're up to 49 occupancy permits right now, as of this morning. So, I got 2 more yesterday, so there's 49, they can get 1 more, and then, but it looks like hopefully within the next 2 weeks, they might have final completion.
Yeah, next week they
They
should
just
get
have
the
to get the
pavement.
as-bills to Wood and Curran, and they're gonna go out with Paul next week. They're gonna, there's some bolted manholes
Yeah,
that they need to.
they didn't give me a day yet, but they have to open up the manholes on Wood Road.
Once they get that measured, they'll put it on the plans, give it to Wood and Curran, they'll do a final completion letter. My question to you all is, because we don't meet again till February 13th, once Wood and Curran provides that letter, am I okay to start signing more occupancies? That's not, is that typically something that they sign, or?
I
What
think,
what was the initial?
I didn't relook at the agreement, but the
The
last
agreement is
time, it
up
was
to
just, we provided a letter,
Okay.
once you had the letter.
Yeah, so,
So as long as
That's
I
all-
get
all-
that, I'm fine to
yep.
sign, okay.
all right, future sewer phases?
The only thing I have a question on real quick is Failing's, project that we're matching 20%, which is 489 is our share. So we budgeted 100 in fiscal '26 and 389 in fiscal '27, and the reason we did that split was based on Woodard and Curran had provided a rough work schedule timeline. So we talked about it when we were doing budgeting, and that's how we budgeted it. I'd really like to be able to borrow for that, if possible, for that fiscal '27 portion. But in order to borrow at annual town meeting this May, you'd have to have the okay of town meeting for Wood and Curran to then apply for the application for SRF, in the fall, correct?
Yeah,
I think that's what we had talked about time-wise. So I wanted to see what you all thought of that. I just, with the retained earnings, and if we don't have to take that big chunk in fiscal '27 out of retained earnings and we can borrow, it will be so much better. But we would need to get on the May, town meeting with a warrant to borrow for that. And as of right now, you know, we've been told we have this grant, but the federal budget still hasn't been voted on, so I mean, we don't know when that's really gonna start or when any of that money's gonna come in.
that was that's where my mind was at, because they recently pushed it again, and I didn't even hear what the new extension was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it typically takes like a year for that money to come out, but I guess that still aligns with your construction and
And if we did, I would almost even recommend that you ask for the full 489 to borrow. If we get the money in early and we can use some of the 100 out of the fiscal '26, great, you don't need to use it all, but it would be super helpful, I think it would be in our best
So,
interest to
I
borrow.
mean, I think we should do that, that's just my opinion.
Do
I don't know
what?
about you
What was
guys.
that?
I just think, I mean, that makes sense to borrow,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll talk to Colin, on Monday, just to see what we would need to do as far as putting together the warrant for that borrowing.
And just one detail, that we expected the intended use plan from DEP to be out, so you'd know that you have a slot to borrow the money from SRF, but they're behind and it's still not out. And we actually spoke with, somebody today and they said they still don't know when it's coming out. So it could be another month before you even know that you're on the
Yeah,
IUP.
and
Now,
usually,
just as a
sorry,
refresher, what's that money gonna cover?
It covers your match of the pump station and the sewer on Phalanx Road.
In the sewer,
yep, so between that and the grant, you should get that whole thing done.
Yeah, so the loan would cover like 500,000 and then the grant would cover like the other 1.5 or whatever.
Yeah, cause we only had to match 20%, so,
now, would that be paid back through betterment?
the,
No.
the part we're borrowing,
Retainer, or just in our budget.
yeah, I think, well, so to answer that question, we have, at our next meeting, we have that executive session with Attorney White and Petrini to talk about, we had that workshop to talk about how are we going to charge on Phase 1 East 3 and 5, because you may get a grant on this street, but not on this street, and so we still need to work all that out.
Well, that's the thing I'm thinking, I mean, how do you charge one person in this side of town 16, this one over here 12, and all of a sudden the 8? You gonna pay a
Well, that's right,
X
so that
amount
was our
half of what
concern.
everyone else is paying.
Yeah, that was our concern, and we wanted to try to be fair and consistent, but at the same time, if you might get a grant in this neighborhood and not that, so that's why we wanted to get those legal opinions, so
I
we'll,
thought we had talked about it. Just
yeah,
wanted
we'll
to
talk
refresh
about that
myself.
more, it's been months, I know,
Yeah,
but we'll talk
yeah.
about it more February, they're gonna come in and talk to us about that in
No, I
executive
thought,
session.
like you said,
So I don't have the
repeat
answer
myself,
yet, but we'll,
I remember
Sure.
we talked
We'll
about it,
figure
I
it
wasn't
out.
quite,
Okay. Let's go on, anything?
no, I haven't, no.
New business, topic chair did not reasonably anticipate would be discussed.
Yep, so Paul, got a letter from the landlord over at the garage that, beginning February 1st, they're raising the rent. But I still think it's very reasonable, they're raising it $200 a month, but they're only going up to $1,700.
Okay, we're moving on.
What's that? Well, I don't know what,
Don't tell them
That's
that's
it.
grand, 'cause that might,
yeah. So it would go from $1,500 a month to $1,700 a month.
yeah, they've
But
been
I need to
50, how
see-
many years? I
Yeah,
mean,
it's-
I'm surprised they haven't gone up.
It's
before.
been
Oh.
as long as I, yeah,
It's been $1,500
Yeah,
for
yeah.
21 years.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, it's
I mean, it's
it's
very,
at least 10 years.
very reasonable.
Now they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, raised it a little bit and then they moved out. Shouldn't have raised it.
Well, we're a tenant at will anyway, so. I was afraid when I saw that letter at the door that we were gonna
Um,
get kicked out.
We need to sign that?
Yeah, there's just a line for one signature, so
Yeah,
whoever.
but it doesn't say, all it says is, does it say Lisi, I think, so, I read the, I was gonna read the front too.
1752, we'll sublet it. We can get 2,500, no problem.
It says Lisi.
Gated, yeah,
So,
gated garage.
I was just looking,
We
You
just
see,
got a bunch of
okay,
wildlife.
got it.
Yeah, so that's us.
Really?
Wildlife?
Yeah.
What'd you get?
There must have
The
been over
geese?
150 ducks on the ice.
what if we
Just
said
all
no,
like-
come on?
I don't know. You wanna bring up while they're asking for something new about the odor control the meters, or
Well, we can do that when we have the,
when you have your,
when we have the meeting.
oh, okay.
We'll bring up the bill and the whole rest of the stuff.
The other thing I just wanted, at the last meeting, you had asked me to check in with Technology Drive, because last June you had approved, just under 10,000 gallons a day for that proposed project. And so it's been over 6 months, I mean, he hadn't paid for it, obviously, yet, and you wanted to see where are they at, do they have permits? So I talked to planning board, they haven't seen anything from them yet, and I reached out to, the applicant a week ago, and I haven't heard anything back. I just told him again, we can't, you guys are talking about limited capacity and that we need to know what stage he's at because it hasn't been paid for, it's been 6 months. So I just said, could you please give me an update, where are you at, what's your intention, but I haven't heard anything back in a week.
Did you just mail it to him?
No, I emailed it to him and his partner, and it's an email that we've gone back and forth on before.
chasing these guys, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's been
we
6
give them
months.
something and they
Yeah.
don't do anything.
Yeah,
Yeah, the lack of response.
Yeah,
Kinda
I mean,
gives
just,
you a
give
clue
us
as
a, yeah, we were still going forward, we were working out our financials or something like that.
How many ERUs do,
I think it was 29. It was 9,000 and, let me see, 29. 29 EIUs, 9,570 gallons a day is what you gave him. But like I said, he hasn't paid for anything,
well, it
so.
still wouldn't have been enough for this project.
no.
No.
Mhm. No. Okay, so I'll send him a certified letter, and what's the time period you wanna give him?
You wanna respond in 2 weeks?
Already
Well,
had
you know
6
what,
months,
I
right?
mean,
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if 2 weeks is gonna cut it, I think we should say 30 days. Only because if we end up with some legal thing, right, we're putting him on the spot, what we're doing is looking for a response though, right?
Right, we're not saying, just give us a response, we're trying to get our financials together, at least that way there we know they're going forward, if the guy's just, the guy says, hey, we're trying to find a buyer for it, hey, we're not holding it, sorry.
I mean, what are we bound by? It was a discussion here,
It was a discussion here.
and we said we would
You approved.
allow that
Correct, you would approve him to purchase
in a motion,
an additional 29 ERUs.
but with no deadline.
There was no deadline, no. I think at the time, we kind of figured the ball was rolling.
Yeah,
Should
it sounds
we-
like he was.
so
So
we-
this gives a
we do a
deadline.
motion?
That's fair, I think, yeah.
Did you do a motion back then? Is that what
Yeah.
you're asking? I would have to
We
look up
probably did.
those
I think we
minutes.
did.
Usually we do on those things.
You usually do,
Yeah,
I can't say for sure, but,
I'm thinking, I don't know, I'm still thinking we should give him 30 days.
30 is fine.
okay.
I don't-
So if we don't have a response within 30 days, we can't guarantee the flow.
Right,
Yeah.
Leave it at that.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
We can't guarantee the flow, all right. Okay. The only other one, I'm sorry, but while we're on the, so 161 Westford Road, there was a plaza, you guys remember, Frank Chen had done a 4-unit plaza, and he's put in, so at the time, he had asked for 870 gallons a day, that's what he came before you, and that's what you approved. So it's 4 units, he's put Domino's, Hot Works, and so I've been kind of tracking the gallons, because we didn't know what the other ones were gonna be, and he just put in a golf simulator thing called Club 72. So I just need to kind of get an idea on what the gallons would be for that, so that I can keep my tracking going, so maybe if you can, I couldn't find anything out of Title V that I thought looked, I don't know what to compare that to.
For the golf simulator?
Yeah,
How
it's
many?
just-
It's
it's-
just one or more?
It's just, it's 1 unit, and it's just like, I think you go in and practice,
I
maybe
think
there's a screen you play with,
There might be 2 golf simulators in there.
But even if there is, it's not like there's no bar there, there's no.
No.
That was my comment, is
Yeah,
there
I mean,
I
food,
mean,
is
not
there?
that I'm-
It was in a bar,
yeah,
yeah, they're gonna be drinking it.
yeah.
So to me,
The
I
least possible.
just leave it alone.
No, I'm just trying to track it so I know how much is left for that last vacant unit. Because what if they put in something, I need to know how much is left under what you
Well, how
approved
much
them.
did he pay?
So Frank paid, he paid per unit,
Or, yeah,
yep. So, but you had approved 870 in total. So I'm just trying to like track it as people going in, so I know like if the last one says, hey, I wanna put in a bakery or
restaurant,
something,
yeah.
I need to know what.
what has he been using on average now?
Oh, do you mean for flow?
Yeah.
He just went in like a month ago, so we haven't, we
No,
just,
I'm talking about the other ones that were there.
well, one is Domino's.
Yeah,
And so I don't know if I have it written down here with, okay, Domino's was using 168.5 gallons a day is estimated.
yeah.
Hot Works, 300 gallons a day. So that leaves us 401.5 gallons a day remaining for the last 2 units. So I just need to know what this one should be, so that I know what the potential business is. If they come to me and say, I wanna put this in the last unit, I need to make sure they have enough flow under what you approved.
For what it's worth, a bowling alley is 100 gallons a day.
A whole-
Per alley, no, per
Oh,
alley. So it's 100, so if there's,
I would say that's.
Right, but a bowling alley is gonna have probably a
There is.
restaurant or bar, they're gonna have soda, some kind of a soda fountain or something.
Mm.
Where if this is, I'm assuming if this is just a golf simulator, you're gonna go in.
It looks like we're gonna have to go in and take a look.
Field trip.
Got it.
Just
Field trip.
see a
Test it
field
out.
trip, see what,
'Cause who knows if he doesn't have a
the
bar.
ones that I've seen, they usually have like a couch and a bench, and like there's not like one person hitting balls, there's like 4, 5, or 6
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Well, I was
Or
thinking
four.
about doing my golf game, yeah, I'll I'll walk in.
I say, I think there's two simulators, it may be one, I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, even if there's two, I mean, like I said, as long as you're not selling all kinds of, you know,
Yeah, so I guess I just need a number from you, Jack, of whatever you think that most closely resembles for
Yeah,
flow.
what did you say, Domino's was 168 a day average?
168.5, because they don't have seats.
There's no
It's
seats.
just takeout.
Just the kitchen.
Yeah. And then
their
Hot
own
Works, I think, has showers maybe, they were like a
yeah,
workout place.
I think they do have
They
showers.
So that's what they provided, I'm going by the flow numbers they
Got
provided
it.
to me for each.
All right, what do you think, 100 a day, Jack? I can't believe
Yeah,
they would use,
You think 100 I should go with?
yeah.
I mean, what's the bare minimum for basically a lab, a toilet?
Yeah, I don't have a good number for that. Well, there's, yeah, it depends on where it is. But
I think it's time to revise the Title V numbers, huh?
it's just, there's so many there's unlimited options that you then try to align. I thought we came up with something that was comparable to like an outdoor golf simulator thing. Remember the other one, we looked at it?
For the Technology Drive?
Yeah, I thought we had a number for it, but I'm not seeing it in Title V. I thought I found one for, like outdoor golfing days.
I don't know, you made a, yeah, I'm not sure honestly. But I mean, this unit can't be that big, right? So
Well,
whatever they
the
do
yeah,
is,
it's like 50
the
or
other thing you
100.
can do is, we can watch what the flows are between Domino's and the workout place. And when he comes in for another business, depending on what it is, you say, hey, look, you gotta remember, you got 800 and something gallons,
yeah,
you're using this already, so you wanna divide it up equally between the two? Or do you wanna use 90% of it on one, because if you do, then you can only put something like this in the
right,
fourth unit.
yeah.
You know, I mean, if the guy decides he wants to put a hardware store in that fourth unit, the water consumption's gonna be nothing.
Okay, so basically, and that was for 161. All right, so I can start watching the flows, see what their actuals are,
Yeah.
and then, base it off that. Okay.
Here's a good one. Country club, like the snack bar or lunchroom, is like 10 gallons per day per seat. So if
Yeah.
the simulator has 5 seats, it's like 50. So it's like 50. per
Right,
day.
I mean, it's minimal, but,
All right. Moving on, administrators report, meeting minutes from 11:14. Oh, did you send me those?
I did.
No, you didn't.
Second.
you just didn't read them. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from 11/14/24.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, further discussion, hearing and seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, unanimous. All right, executive session minutes
I'll make a
approved.
motion to approve the minutes of executive session 11/14, 12/3, and 12/18, not to be released. Correct?
Second.
Yeah, I believe so. Did you second that?
Yes.
Chris, is there a reason why we have three, didn't we put some off, am I correct?
We haven't met since November 14th.
But we didn't have them, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
You didn't have them yeah, everything happened after your last
Yeah.
meeting.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Bills, warrants?
Yep, we have some bills warrants to review, there's those.
National Grid really loves to bill, huh?
Oh, God, tell me about it. Oh, and you want to give out your invitation?
Yeah, it's double, right, cause it's on electric and gas for everything.
Right, yep. And you'll see some payments to a company called Harcourt, and that's, they're the gas,
Chemical company, right?
they're the gas supplier.
Wholesaler, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
because
do
the
that.
town got a good deal by going with them. So National Grid Gas, we just pay for delivery, but they're actually your supplier, cause it's less money.
But that's not like the electric that affects the whole of the town, it's just, the gas is just a town.
I'm not sure, Brian, if it's just for town employee, like town departments, or if
Yeah.
it's for citizens, I'm not.
Yeah, I don't think they did it with citizens,
No, just the,
just
Oh, okay.
all the municipal buildings.
That must be what it is,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I've
Cause I
seen
know
as
in the
well.
past, they've had those deals where the citizens can sign up to.
The fuzzy math.
The fuzzy now. I think we should just keep the Verizon ones out of the mix here. Donald Trump's is a big one. Who got tires?
The Ford F-250.
Yeah, my pickup truck got tires, yeah.
Two? That's,
Four.
for that price?
Four tires.
For that price?
Yep.
Ouch, that's not bad.
It only lasts a couple of years,
Where'd you go?
maybe unless
Yeah.
we have a government account there.
It's a pretty
Can't
good
beat the
price.
I know, I thought
They're
that was
pri-
like-
they're regular prices.
Where are they?
At the National.
Yeah, that's.
So I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, what's two tires?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's four, so
Full
that.
amount is done, balanced, what,
I know, they're
not
good,
yet.
yeah.
Yeah, they're good on McBackers and stuff.
Yeah, I used to get when I had the triax,
Quick,
I used to
yeah.
get them up there, they were great.
Is that? Yeah.
That's what we got.
I knew that was
And that's what you got for your 18 grand right there.
Oh. Guess who's next?
You had it, right?
Alphabetically.
Okay, alright. Our calendar comes on big
Yeah,
sheets
yeah,
of
yeah.
paper.
Oh, yeah.
That's not gonna help me, is it? It's
And the
hurting my
bills are
case.
proportional.
Maybe hide behind it.
That's when you passed out your invitation, Jack. Open bar, Jack.
Hmm.
Oh, boy.
It's, Lowell Regional, is that just, is that water?
That's our annual bill from Lowell for flow.
Oh, okay, got it. I keep thinking that, so the regional charges it, not the city.
Correct.
Got it. Holy crap.
It's 2 months worth of bills. I know we haven't met, so.
No, I mean, all the National Grid stuff.
Oh, I
I
know,
know.
I know. Thank God Sue answers for us now. She's so great. It's a huge time saver. Oh, good,
This is the season.
good.
I don't know if you guys are eligible. Gauntlet
I
every round.
Well, I felt bad applying even for the last one, but
But that
that
would be,
would be good.
but yeah, they're between now and April typically.
Another section of phase one east, I mean, or something, maybe,
Yeah.
or something that fits in there.
So I was gonna say, the federal earmarks are, they
I'm
typically
I'm
go
fine,
around.
if you wanna go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's good to think about it.
Moving on, item 17, uniforms report?
Yeah, everything's basically status quo, everything's running pretty good, you know. They're just keeping the mice out of the generators, they love the generators.
'Cause they
And
were-
when it's so
Oh, yeah.
cold, they're going in. The 50 Westford Road is going forward with all this stuff. Commerce Way, they just gotta be testing the infrastructure that Mass Works put in. And then the second half is done by the Delory.
Yeah, Delory.
Delory's gotta do a small manhole 2 to 3 plus a small section of pipe, so they can get out of the cul-de-sac, so Brock's can pave all his stuff and be done with it, and just cap the end.
Oh, that's new.
And that's gonna happen Monday. They're working on it tomorrow, Delory.
Okay.
Correspondence?
Nope,
Complaints?
nope.
Jake, anything? Fred?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all. Further discussion, you see none, all in favor? Thank you and good night. That was unanimous, by the way.
So these are all the SRF loans?
Yes, so those are all the SRF loans. Twice a year you get billed, July and January, and we break them out because some the town pays, some comes out of the betterment fund, and some comes out of the enterprise fund. So I'll usually do like a schedule and pass